God, thank you for this opportunity to come together and get to know each other, God, and fellowship. And God, I pray that through this conversation, we would be able to shine your light, that someone listening, God, if they don't know you, they would get to know you a little bit better. God, I pray that you would bless each man in this room, that you would continue to draw close to us, and through that we might become more like you. God, we love you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So, man, I'm glad to have you on. We've gone through some challenges getting together, I feel like.
No.
So there was something trying to keep us from having this conversation, but seems to have worked out. So I'm really curious, man, like, you know, we already talked about this before we started, but we saw you speak at the Louisville Night of Champions, which is the big FCA event. We got to see Pat Kelsey speak, and as a Kentucky fan, it turned me into a guy who actually really likes Pat Kelsey. And as I mentioned, I wouldn't admit this to my dad, but I kind of like what they got going on at U of L and the FCA program there. But through that, you know, found out that we had some mutual connections, and I thought it would be great to have you on and get to know you a little bit better. Not just you, but also like what's the mission at FCA? What are your all's goals? I know you've been there for a long time, but yeah, man. So tell me about you. Like, how'd you get started? How'd you get into this particular ministry? What'd that look like?
Yeah. Thanks. First of all, thanks for having me. It's a joy to be with you guys. I was raised in a Christian home. I would say that my mom was a spiritual leader, and I know that probably it's not that my dad didn't want to. I just don't think he knew how.
Yeah,
he loved the Lord, but as far as leading in that, he just didn't feel competent and confident to do that. So my mom, we were always in church. I mean, whether that was Sunday mornings, Sunday night. That's back when they had Wednesday
nights.
I mean, we went all the time.
Yeah.
So I was raised with an understanding of who Jesus is.
Yeah.
But it was more of my mom and dad's faith than it was my own.
Yeah.
And so I played football at a small school, Campbellsville University.
Oh, yeah.
I went there, played football. And sports were like our idol. It was, you know, it wasn't spring and summer and fall and winter. It was football, basketball, and baseball.
Yeah, you're
in that order.
Yeah.
And then vacation, and then you get to do it all over again.
Yeah.
and so sports became really our and my idol. And so then I went to Campbellsville University and played football. And my senior year in college, our chaplain shared the gospel. And I had heard the gospel most of my life.
Yeah.
But it was that, during that chapel service, when that pastor just really shared the gospel, and the gospel became alive in my life. And Jesus became Lord of my life. And slowly but surely, he started to remove some of those idols that I had placed upon my heart.
Yeah.
Because I loved sports. And now I have a love for Jesus. And it's like when I played my last football game, the coach said, "Hey, I want all you seniors to report back to the football office Monday to turn in your equipment." It's like my identity was taken. And I still loved it, but my time was over to play.
Right.
And so now I have a love for Jesus, and still love sports, but that's over. And so I left college, came back home to Louisville, and started working with the kids with disabilities, Metro Parks. And Steve Wigington, who had been part of FCA, I've known Steve most of my life.
Yeah.
Steve's like,
Name
"Hey,
sounds super familiar."
Yeah, we would love for you to consider coming on staff at FCA." And you know, now you're talking about being around coaches and athletes, which was a love that I've always had. But now I have a relationship with Christ, and that's the whole platform of FCA.
Yeah.
So to make a long story short, man, I spent the next year being discipled by a guy by the name of Tommy Nelson. He's out of Denton, Texas. I did that a year-long discipleship program. Done that, came back, and came on staff with FCA, and that's been my job for the last 27 years, and I have loved it. So that's kind of what got me involved in it, a love for Jesus and a love for athletes and coaches, and just I love seeing people use their platform to point people to Jesus.
Yeah, and it's interesting. My story is super relatable, too. My mom was kind of the spiritual leader in my youth, and we went to church 3 nights a week, and it was a big deal if you didn't go and all that. And Later on in my high school years, before I went in the Marine Corps, I don't know, I think maybe something about going in the Marine Corps triggered something in me to go, I've grown up this way, but do I really know who Jesus is?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think sometimes that personal relationship with Christ can get unintentionally overlooked in a way, because it kind of becomes your duty to go to church, and you've heard the gospel 1,000 times. But then there's a point in your life where it's like, hey, this is real. So I can relate to that. I think it's interesting, as I'm hearing you tell this story, you had this love for this sport, and God blessed you in a way that even though your time playing sports was done, you got a career where you're surrounded in sports and getting to share the gospel at the same time. So, you had this moment where, okay, like I have to come to the reality, I'm done playing sports, but God's like, oh no, you might be done playing sports, but you're not done being around athletes and being in this world of athletics. Now you're going to get to do that, and I'm going to be with you, and we're going to get to do this thing together. And it's funny how God works that way. He's already orchestrated that, ahead of time. So, and now when we met at the Night of Champions, your wife spoke. She had a cool story about the jar. I don't know. She had just come back from the desert in Arizona. Or something.
Kurt Sauter. I don't know if you know Kurt. Kurt, he kind of does those desert days.
Gotcha.
And he used that illustration with the group that we were in. And Tammy's like, hey, can I borrow that? That's good stuff.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah, and it's just about, just regular water, but you shake it up, man, and it looks clear and all that. But once it gets shaken up, man, there's a lot of stuff that rises to the top.
Yeah.
And it looked really, really, really dirty. And that can be our lives a lot. And the thing I love about just sports make a great game, but they make a terrible God.
Yeah.
And we're around students and athletes and coaches that, as I did, made it an idol. And it's easy to do that. But as we can come alongside with FCA and say, hey, that whatever you do with all your heart is working for the Lord, not for man.
Yeah.
And be great at what you have, but don't let this become your identity, or it's gonna rob you. You can use it as a great tool to bring God glory, but don't let it become all that you are, because you're more than an athlete.
Yeah. We struggle with that as entrepreneurs too. We run a digital marketing agency here, and it can become your identity to be this entrepreneur. And there's a lot of ego attached to that sometimes. Like, I built this is my thing. But we're able to, I think as a group, really having group accountability to come in and go, how can we use what God has given us here to shine His light? And to your point, you can make idols out of anything you want to make an idol out of.
Oh, I can make FCA an idol.
Correct. It can be a good thing, and then you just turn it into an idol. And so I think like FCA, or being surrounded by people and having accountability to go, hey, by the way, this is great that God has blessed you here, but this is a tool to share the gospel. I think being surrounded by like-minded people in that way kind of helps keep us on the track. And I saw that in what you guys are doing at FCA. I could see the athletes kind of giving their testimony, and you had a baseball player that night.
Kamayu Neighbors.
Yes, man, his story got me. I'm like, I'm going to cry right here. But it's him being able to share that, but he's doing that because he's surrounded by a group like FCA who's like, hey, I want you to be the best athlete you can be, but don't forget that this is about something much bigger than just you being a great athlete.
Yeah, well, you get 19 to 23-year-olds that there's no reason that they can't grow in their faith.
Right.
We have a lot of athletes that like you and I, that have good moms and dads and point them to church, but it still doesn't become something of their own maybe until they get to college. And then you got some people that we had an athlete 2 months ago that come and talk to my wife, and she had never heard the name Jesus.
That's crazy.
And you would think immediately, if you never heard the name Jesus, where are you from? Are you from the Congo? Or are you from?
Yeah, like we've debated about that in here.
She's from Miami.
That is wild.
She's never heard the name Jesus, and it's like, whoa! You don't have to go to a third world country.
Right.
There's people in our own backyard that have never heard.
In the southern United States.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So we just love what we get a chance to do. That in some instances it's the only Jesus that some people And I believe that having a relationship with Christ, that doesn't mean you're going to score all the touchdowns or you're going to hit the three-pointer. You're going to bring some things to your team that's going to be just incredible. I mean, you're going to bring an attitude and a persona and a joy to your life.
Yeah.
That's going to be amazing. I mean, the non-believer should see a Christian and like, man, that's a guy that works really, really hard. Yeah, that's a guy that has passion and excitement. Yeah, so that's what I love to do.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, your wife, she's involved too, and I don't know, I think she works with a lot of the female student athletes at U of L, is that right?
Yeah, she works with the female side of the ministry.
And now, did you guys meet in college, or did you meet, through the FCA? How did that work?
Yeah, man, she was involved in a relationship out of college. I was in a different relationship in college. And I'll never forget, and we celebrate our 24th wedding anniversary Monday.
Congratulations.
But I was a speaker at a camp, FCA camp at Asbury College.
Oh, yeah.
And we had mutual friends that were playing at a band over at Southland Christian Church. And I went with a couple buddies, and she was there with some of her girlfriends and about to leave. And I see this girl, man, and I want to go talk to her, and I did. I went over and talked to her for a little bit, asked her if she'd come listen to me speak, and I thought, sure, man, this girl's going to come listen to me talk, man, and she didn't. She didn't come. And then the next day, she came, and we struck up a conversation, but she was leaving to go to Vanderbilt. She was one of the marketing directors there at Vanderbilt, and so she went back to Vanderbilt. We stayed in touch a little bit. But then I had a wedding of one of a family member that I called, and I'd love for you to go with me to this wedding if you want. And she did, man. She went to the wedding with me, and that was June the 1st that year, and man, we talked ever since, and had a day go by that I hadn't talked to her since that wedding.
That's awesome.
So, man, yeah, just a joy to do life with your best friend and ministry co-partner. We're blessed to be able to do what we do for as long as we've been doing it at the same place. Yeah,
it stood out to me to have your wife kind of at your side doing the same ministry you're doing is a real blessing, and so I thought it was cool that she was able to come in and give her side of things and kind of show what that looks like. But it's cool, man. I mean, a lot of people don't get that opportunity to work alongside their wives like that, and so that's a blessing. Now, as you guys move into FCA today, you've been there for 27 years, you were telling me.
Well, I've been on staff with FCA for 27.
Okay.
I started doing chapels in 2004 for Bobby Petrino. Bobby Petrino was the first coach that allowed me to do, and I'm grateful for that. He opened the door, and how he said it was, he said, I'd love for you to do a chapel. And I said, absolutely, coach. And he said, well, you got 8 minutes. Don't go over 8 minutes. I said, I won't go over 8 minutes, man. I'll steward those 8 minutes. And right before I went in, I said, hey, coach, are you asking me to do all the chapels, or do you want me to just do this one? He rubbed his chin for a second, and he goes, do the first one, I'll let you know after. I was like, man, this is a job interview. He was going to see if it hit
him or not. Yeah.
And it was fantastic. I don't know how the chapel was, but it was fantastic to be able to do that. And he allowed me to serve. And what started out as just 8 minutes with a chapel, being faithful with those 8 minutes, God just, he has blown us away. Ephesians 3:20, now to him that is able to do exceedingly abundantly more we can hope or even imagine. Just be faithful with those small things, and then God will entrust you with many. So it's been 4 years? 23 years. 23 years.
Yeah.
With FCA at University of Louisville.
That's awesome. Now, in the FCA at University of Louisville, my impression was this is unique, what they've got going on here. Because, every athlete in there was highly engaged, even the ones that couldn't be there because they were playing. Baseball season was going on during the time. I mean, just the video feedback and stories. It seemed like something that everybody in the organization, the AD was there, Pat Kelsey was there, like everybody seemed to be engaged in this. Is that something that other universities in the United States, do they see the same level of activity with their FCA programs, or do you know?
Yes, FCA has a presence on college campuses, yes, throughout, whether that's NAIA, whether that's Division 1, 2, 3, they all have a presence. We have been uniquely blessed, and sometimes it's a little uncomfortable of a blessing because you go to certain places and you're hearing what people do, and it's almost like you don't want to say anything because we've been given so much favor that's only God. I mean, this is so big that man can't take credit for it. It's just whether that's the AD or whether that's I've been on staff. I've been there with the football. This is my 7th football staff that I've been able to go through. Awesome. 3 ADs, 5 basketball coaches. So when you say that, it's yes, God is doing great things on all campuses, but I think He's just allowed us to kind of be, I don't want to say a standard, but just somewhere where He's given us a lot of favor, and with that comes a lot of responsibility. Sure. There's a lot of people that reach out and want to know certain ideas, how we do this, and now I'm getting older. That now I feel a heavy responsibility and a joy to help younger people that are doing what I'm doing, and just staying faithful. Don't get so caught up in numbers, or don't worry about fundraising. Yes, it's part that we have to do, but be faithful in this. Don't expect. How does that saying go? Where you appreciate everything, expect nothing but appreciate everything. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
And so you're not there to get tickets or to get autographs or to get these guys, they get hit on by everybody to be that. Yeah. And so can you be distinctly different and just serve those guys right where they're at? And that's what we started from the very beginning, and it's just built a lot of credibility that we are a safe place. Yeah. That we're a place that love these guys and girls for that matter right where they're at, and we want to see them grow in their understanding of who Jesus is.
Yeah, that came through because I've been into a lot of nonprofit events, and I walked into the FCA. Really, I went because Matt was giving free tickets, and I'm like, hey, let's go. I knew Pat Kelsey would be speaking. I'm like, I'll see what this new coach is about. I had no really idea what was going on. But it was the genuineness behind it is what showed through to me, because I know what nonprofit galas look like. I know what fundraising looks like, but it didn't feel that way. It felt very genuine. Like, hey, we're letting God guide this, and we're giving it to Him, and this is a result of His goodness and His blessing. And so I'm from the outside looking in and not really knowing what an FCA is. And so as I'm sitting there, I'm like, do other universities have this same, or is this kind of a unique? It felt unique, but I just, again, from an outsider, I'm like, I would really, if every college could have that, that would be incredible. That would really be incredible.
Yeah, we've been blessed, and like I said, when much is given, much is required. Yeah, and so we want to be faithful with that, because whether that's we want to work and be faithful, whether it's one team or whether it's 23 teams. Yeah. God is the God of harvest. Mm-hmm. You throw seed and He's faithful. It grows where He sees fit. Yeah. And I don't want to feel like that Louisville is the varsity and every other place is the JV. That's not what it is. We serve the same God.
For sure.
And so, but He has uniquely allowed us to be blessed in such a way that I feel a burden and a responsibility to train up and engage, equip, and empower other people.
And I think there's got to be that. There's got to be some example or someone who has the blessing and not just the ability, but the heart to spread that. Does that make sense?
Sure.
It can't. Again, it's like, yeah, we're the best. We got the best numbers, biggest FC. Okay, well, like that's doesn't matter if you're not going to plant seeds and grow the kingdom.
Well, I think plus just those coaches really desire someone to come alongside of them and challenge them.
Fill the gap.
Yeah, and those coaches, just by default, a lot of times you get a lot of yes people around you.
Oh, yeah.
And they have no one that will really just challenge them. And so when someone, I think the confidence and the boldness that I have been given has increased more as time there, just because they know that I love them and care for them. And so that allowed me to kind of speak into that and, and to pour in spiritually to their lives and their marriages and some of their, not just me though, the rest of our staff. Yeah. And so it's been a joy to watch that happen.
That's awesome. Now, how many members do you guys have in the FC?
We have a staff of 6.
Okay. That's good.
So we have 3 full-time, and then we have 3 part-time.
Gotcha. And then do you guys have members from like every team at the university?
Yes. So what we do is we take those six of us, and we break down our whole campus into sports where we can not only go wider but go deeper.
Gotcha.
Because really, you're a pastoral help on that team.
Yeah.
So you're around. You're at practices. You may stand at practice and not even talk to anybody, but they see that you're there. And you're invested into the team. There's years ago that I first started, and we didn't have a staff. It was just me. And so there's times I went out. I thought it would be really, really cool to kind of like run with the guys. And so, strength and conditioning coach, man, I become really good friends with him. This is year like 2 and 3.
Gotcha.
And I just stopped that a couple years ago. But yeah, run with them. And I thought, man, if I start, I can't stop. And so
they're going to expect it.
Yeah, and you can't quit now.
Yeah.
You can't quit. If you start it, you got to go. And so now I'm running. I'm getting in a group. I'm working out with some of these guys, and it's hard when you see the chaplain over there running. It's one thing if you can't quit if the chaplain's going, man.
Oh yeah.
And so, man, I would wake up in the morning and I'd be so sore, and my wife would say, "What are you doing this for?" And it just adds credibility. Plus, you just
builds that.
Yeah, it builds friendships.
Yeah,
it had built so many things, and now I'm to the age now where I can't get in a group. Man, I'm gonna love you a different way.
Hey, man, you're still in good shape. You're still in good shape for sure. Now you mentioned Asbury earlier. Did you happen to get a chance to go down when they were doing that? They had that big revival going on down there.
Oh yeah.
Did you guys?
Well, I had a couple staff people go. There were a couple athletes. We didn't take a group down.
Yeah,
I did go. I went one night. I stayed for about. I stayed for a couple of hours.
Yeah,
and it was just good thing to go and sit and it just. Reading my Bible and sing and worship, and it was just done properly, man. It was just it wasn't so much of just a conjured event. You just got a lot of people coming together and
the line
worshiping God.
Yeah, that's what Tim and I went, and we said you can't get heaven on earth, but if you could imagine what a group of believers from different denominations and what that's going to look like, something like that is kind of what. If you really sat in that moment, it was like, man, this is incredible what they had going on there.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So as you move into, the coming years, you've been doing this now for 27 years. Mm-hmm. What do the next few years look like? I mean, you guys have any specific plans? What's going on inside?
Man, you mean like a transition?
Inside of FCA.
Oh, inside of FCA.
Or, whatever your plans are.
Well, no, I mean, I think our thing with FCA is we've always built it off of getting in God's Word. Our Monday night meetings, like I said, there's 200, 250, but we're always going through books of the Bible. We're never going to do a series on patience. Not that that's negative, but man, we just want to go through God's Word in books and go through them where they're leaving on a Monday night, being in God's Word. They don't want to hear my opinions, man. Let's see what God has to say about certain things. And so when we go through it in the entirety, it just makes a whole lot of. So our Monday night is our big come and see model, gotcha. Where it's a non-threatening thing. You could have been to FCA for 4 years, or you could just stumbled upon it. We give them Chick-fil-A sandwich and a Gatorade or a water, and
Chick-fil-A at Night of Champions.
Yeah, they'll sit, and we'll have some announcements. Then we'll have a student athlete give a testimony. And then after the testimony, myself or one of our staff will stand up and we'll go through that assigned section in God's Word. So that's Monday night is like a big meeting. Mm-hmm. But you get lost in a meeting of 200, in 200 or 250, you can get lost in that.
Yeah.
But we have small groups throughout the week. And whether it's our staff or whether that is other student leaders. So we'll have quite a few small groups. I want to say probably anywhere between 20 small groups that are meeting throughout the week. But our desire is for feedback. Our desire is for dialogue. It's not just a consumer based, man. We want some dialogue. And so a smaller group, we have anywhere from 15 to 20 small groups that meet throughout the week.
Gotcha.
And the thing that I love to brag most is probably 70% of our athletes on Monday night, 70% of that big group is in a small group.
That's great.
So they're getting the community aspect of it on a Monday night and teaching, but then they're getting something where, hey, I'm being asked a participant.
Yeah.
I'm being asked to participate in this, and so to be able to kind of bounce things off and have a conversation. That's where growth really happens.
Oh, 100%. I mean, even like we go to church on Sundays. He goes to Field of Grace. I go to Cornerstone.
Yeah.
And you get a lot there, and the church has small groups too. And when we're in kind of the small group season, that's where you have the sermon, and then you get together as a group of believers, and you kind of get to dissect that. But not only that, you get to fellowship, and that's where you learn about your faith. The opportunities come up in small groups when you get to know people and know their lives, where you can practice that faith out. So the small groups is awesome.
And normally it's sports specific.
Yeah, I got you.
And so you have the Monday night, you have all the athletes together, where they're all in one room. But then our small groups are more dialed in on their teammates,
their specific
in their sports. Like I lead a football Bible study on Wednesday mornings.
Yeah,
that's just football guys, and you get anywhere from 20 to 30 football guys that come in. Now, that's still a good percentage.
Oh yeah. Well, what is there, 60 something on a team usually?
No, there's about 105.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Look, that tells you how much I know.
So it's still 30 is still a good
40%. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Now, when you guys meet in the small groups, are you guys covering what you went over on Monday, or are you guys kind of continuing inside the same book?
No, it'll be a different book.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be a different book. And that's just so because we don't want somebody to just jump
ahead. Yeah. I got you. We found that here too. We were doing Bible studies, and we would we want to talk about this particular topic, or, we saw some cool thing that we want to read in the Bible. We were bouncing all over the place.
Yeah.
One guy'd be out, we bounced to somewhere else. And I'm like, we need to just pick a book and just go through.
Well, I'm all about books, and that's Monday night will be, we're going through Genesis now. We spent 1.5 years in Genesis.
That's cool.
And we took just a little break to go through just this month of February, being like Valentine's and all that. We're going through the Book of Song of Solomon. So we're going to spend. I knew
you were getting ready to go there.
Yeah, so we're going to spend a couple of weeks in Song of Solomon. But our small groups just are still going through books of the Bible. It's just sports specific.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, man. Now, as you not really into transition, but what do the next few years look like in terms of goals? Is this trying to get from that 30 to 40% mark into that 60, 70% territory where you have more teams coming in?
Yeah.
What kind of goals do you guys have set forth, the next 2 years?
Well, that's a great question. I think our goals is really to continue to be faithful what we've got. But I think at the same time we want to hire more staff. We don't need an incredible amount. We've got 6. We double up on some sports.
Yeah.
But to be able to get a couple more staff people would be ideal, to where we could give them a couple sports, and you're just casting a wider net. It's not that we don't have access; you just don't have enough time in the day.
For sure, yeah. Only one person can do so much.
Yeah, and so we want to do that, and then also, I mean, I want to be able to train up. Just other campuses. I want to be able to spend some time and talking to some directors and seeing how we can best help them to grow what God is doing there at their campus.
Yeah. So you kind of went into my next question here. How does the FCA program work? So I'm assuming there's like some kind of governing body of FCA, right? And then you guys kind of have your own universities, and you're like a chapter at that university, for example. But if, say, I wanted to give to your chapter, how does that work? Do you give to FCA and FCA distributes out the funding, or do you give directly to a chapter? How does that go?
Yeah, we do have a national support, which is in Kansas City. As FCA is a national organization. It's national organization.
Yeah.
Global ministry, so it's all over the world. But each person is responsible and to steward their own resources. So each organization has their own org, so to speak. So you could definitely, without a doubt, send a check to FCA and send it to Kansas City, but that would go to the global part of the ministry.
Right.
But each FCA has their own org. So each organization raises their own, whether that's University of Louisville FCA, whether that's Greater Louisville, whether that's University of Michigan, whether that's, so there's different different orgs that people different support.
Yeah, I kind of figured that's how it was, but I wasn't for sure. Now,
but it's still a tie to the national organization.
Right. Yeah, the national organization is kind of they help you guys
Correct.
get everything taken care of, give you material and so on.
Correct.
Now, I want to back up because you mentioned this thought popped in my head. You had mentioned you worked for Louisville Parks, maybe in the beginning
years ago.
Years ago. So they still do a thing out at my kids play rec ball, or they did play rec ball at Fern Creek. And they have every Saturday, they've got like a special needs baseball like tournament. They do every single Saturday. So, and is FCA involved in that? I mean, that'd be
No, I did that. I did that every summer out of college. I worked with somebody named B.J. Levis. B.J. Levis works for Metro Parks, or she did at the time. And every summer I would work with B.J. and that staff with Metro Parks with kids with disabilities. I did that every summer while I was a college student. And then when I graduated college, that's really the only job I had ever had at that point. It's just a summer job.
Yeah.
And so now I can go back and full time, and that was a great job. I loved working with kids.
It looks like a good time.
Oh,
we've sat and watched a game before.
Oh, it's so much joy.
Yeah.
So much that I could learn from, and I did learn from that. But I realized that God was calling me to something else.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I disliked my job, because I didn't. And I only did it for, I guess, 8 months. But I realized that there was something else that God was calling me to. And that's when I talked with Steve Wigginton about FCA.
I can see that job in particular giving you a heart for people, just kind of getting you ingrained and giving you an opportunity to see the joy in what sports can do and how it can, if you don't let it become an idol, how it can really bring joy to people. Of all types, people of all types. So, well, man, I have 1,000 questions that I wanted to ask you when you came in. I think I'm going to throw a curveball at you here.
Yeah.
You work with athletes all the time. And so you've got an athlete come in who maybe they don't know Christ, right? And you got a limited amount of time that you can share the gospel with this person. What are you saying to that guy?
Yeah. Wow. I'd share the gospel. My life's been impacted. I'd share my testimony.
Yeah.
Hey, I remember when I was your age, man, and this was so much fun. But I just want you to know that this time's going to be very limited. 4 years are going to go by very, very quickly. And, with FCA, we have, we call it the core, or the 4, I'm sorry. And the 4 is that, first of all, that Jesus loved you.
Yeah.
That God loves you. He has a plan for your life. Then I would say that there's this thing called sin that separates us from God's plan. And the sin is a small word, but man, it'll affect you quickly, okay? Yeah. And we're all sinners. But Jesus, and in this, it has like a little heart sign, and then it has a division sign, and then it has a cross, and then it has a question mark. So God loves you, sin divides you, Jesus rescues you. Will you trust him? And so, but I really wouldn't be preachy the first time on somebody.
For sure.
I would just I'd share my story, man. I'd share my life. I'd let them know how much I care for them, what I'm here to do. My office is in the football complex. And so, man, as you walk by here, if there's anything that is on your heart or something that you want to come and share with, just know you have a spot, man. You have a place. You're always welcome to our FCA on Monday night. And then chances are, when they're invited to something and you take an interest in what they do, they're hungry for somebody to love them just for being a person.
Right.
Not wanting an autograph. I don't need an autograph, and I'm not wanting this.
Yeah.
I just want to do life with you. And so I wouldn't be pressing until, now if a person would come in and like, hey, man, which I've had before.
Yeah, tell me what's up with this.
What must I do to be saved, man? That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. But not all of them are like that.
No, for sure.
And they want to know that you truly care for them. And then when you know that and they know that, man, they'll let you in their world.
Mm-hmm. The reason I asked that question is we have talked recently. It's I would assume, which I'm assuming that I'm right, like you just mentioned, in your world, you probably get opportunities like that more often than someone who isn't in ministry full time. We've talked a lot about being prepared when that question comes up, and not even when it comes up, but sometimes how do we prompt conversations in a gentle way to kind of draw interest, or how do we get that going?
I'd always be prepared to share your story.
And that's usually that's what we've talked about, like your story and the story of your salvation can change someone's life. Because if they can see themselves in that story, if they can relate to that story somehow, that's where Christ can really shine through.
And when you share your story, I mean, when I say that, I'm talking about an elevator version of it.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
that could be, 3 to 5 minutes, like this is what my life was before Christ. This was the defining moment where God got a hold of my life, and this has been my life since.
Amen,
But really making the correlation between the athlete. Hey, I've been where you're at. Man, and this seems really, really good. But 4 years are going to go quickly. Mm-hmm. And I remember just plain as day, man, when Coach told me my days were over, and it rocked my world. Mm-hmm. And then I just go into sharing my story.
Yeah, man, that's good. That's good. Well, brother, I don't have anything specific I wanted to ask you. I really wanted to get to know you and your story. I've been seeing you on Facebook. I've been friends. I got to hear you speak, and I love what you guys are doing there. I think it's one, it's just a cool story, and also you guys are really making an impact. And I think people are finding out who Christ is and coming to him through your ministry. And so I just wanted to have the opportunity to sit down with you and get to hear what that looks like from the inside. Because I know, like with the staff of 6 and that many teams, there's a lot of moving parts in your world. So I appreciate you taking the time to come in.
Love
and do that,
anytime I can get an opportunity to brag on what God is doing, man, I want to seize opportunities on that. That doesn't matter if that's the platform never changes, man. It doesn't matter if it's in a group of 50,000 or a group of 3.
Yeah.
I want to be faithful at the message. The message never changes. Jesus is Lord.
Yeah. It's encouraging to us too, to have other people that are working to live that out, trying to live that out, and relying on Christ, because we're not great at it. I mean, we're not perfect, but we try to point people and do that, and we want to look at other people who have been able to do that successfully and emulate their faithfulness, know. And so you guys are a great example of that. What I really wanted to do was I wanted to hear the story of God's faithfulness, and you do a great job of sharing what that looks like in just a nice, clean way. I mean, you know what I mean? You've done it a lot, I can tell. Because I knew when I heard you speak that having you on, you were really going to be able to talk about how good God has been to you guys. And that's something that the reason we have this podcast is not because we started it because we're like, hey, this is kind of a fun thing we can do. And then it was like, man, we could share the gospel this way.
Yes, you can.
We're a business, we're a service, like we offer website design and SEO, and we have opportunities to share the gospel and providing a really high quality service, and then shining the light through that. Like, hey, we work as unto God and not as unto men, and so we're going to provide a high quality service with that in mind. But we're not a ministry, and so our podcast has kind of become our way to minister not only to ourselves, but to other people.
And you keep doing it, and you keep being faithful at it. And I mean this, that I've quoted that verse already, but whatever you do, do it with all your heart. And whether that's an audience of 100 or if it's a podcast like Joe Rogan's, man, you do this with excellence and allow God to bless it. Yeah. And it's his. And when you give it over to God, then you trust him with the results. And you just keep being faithful to throw the seed. Yeah. And it'll take root. It'll bear fruit. And you just keep trusting the seed.
That's funny you say that. We've had that. So when we pray as a team, we look like, hey, get our ego out of this. This is yours, right? Every time we've had that prayer, if we're praying that prayer consistently, we mean that prayer, he provides every time. We had, just to tell you a quick story, we were in Fern Creek for 6 years or so. We started, this business is about 5 years old. I have another junk removal business. We were in an office in Fern Creek. Did a bunch of renovations in there and made it to where it was kind of like this. And it started to flood consistently. And I was trying to buy the building. I'm like, hey, I'll buy it. I may have even told this on the show before. But anyway, I was like, I'll buy the building if, you sell it to me, we'll fix the flooding. But if you're not going to sell it, we're going to need you to fix it. And they never fixed it. And so it flooded like 3 times, and then we had to move out. But I had to call an attorney, and he was like, hey, if you don't move out, you're going to be hooked in on this lease. You have to move out now while there's water in the building. So we ended up I mean, just pure faith. Like, all right, we're out. We had seen this building. I'd been watching it for like 6 months, and I'm like, surely it'll be gone. Checked on it. It was available, but the guy was like, no, you can't move in there because you can't park your box trucks out front. And I'm like, while we were praying about it, we're like, hey, we know you got something for us. And like a day or two later, he was like, all right, you give me $50 extra a month, you can have the building. And so we were able to move in here the next week. But I mean, in that time, we've got all these people that are displaced. We have to have a place where we could technically work remotely, but we're trying to provide high quality service. We need a location. And instantly God provided a place and saved us $100 a month. Yeah, so you're right. If you give it to him, I mean, your storms and your trials they're coming. They're going to be there. But he's going to have you through it.
Oh yeah, And ego can be a nasty thing, man. I mean, you're talking about pride. I don't remember what coach it was. It was one of the coaches that talked to me. It may have been Patino. That ego is edging God out, where you just take him out of the equation. So you leave your ego out. And I've noticed even with FCA, as we grow and as we try to be we want to be, I hate using the word standard, but you want to be in a pattern or a secure place a model. A model would be a good word.
Yeah.
To be a model to other FCAs, I'm just like everybody else. I have to fight against pride and ego and those things. But God has an incredible way of just sharpening me when I need it the most. Like I remember being the only staff person, being at all these sports, and was able to be on Patino's. I don't want to say his team. I wasn't on his team, but I got to serve Patino and his team. And
is that where you met Matt, by the way? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yes.
Okay.
Matt was on that staff.
Yeah.
Matt was part of the staff. I was just a servant there. Matt was part of the team.
He was an analytics guy. Yeah.
And Matt, we would do Bible studies. I would just come alongside of Matt. Matt would lead it, and I just would be part of that. It was some good time. It was building some relationships with some of those guys. And Matt wanted me around, and I wanted to be around those guys, being FCA. And so Matt he opened that door for me, and then Matt left. I still stayed around, got to be around Coach, got to travel with the basketball team. It was a fantastic thing. When Matt was out, I became more of that voice because Matt was out. And he set that stage for me, man. And so the point of my story is that it started to grow. And then when Patino left, Padgett comes in. I'm able to have already established some credibility with the basketball. So now Padgett wants me around. And then Padgett leaves and Chris Mack comes in. Yep. And so I'm serving Chris Mack and I'm with his team. But Aaron Nance was now on our staff. And so now I have to be very, as the director and as the leader and as somebody that really loves Aaron Nance, I've got to allow Aaron Nance to be part of this with the understanding of Aaron Nance taking over.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's hard when you're doing something on your own and you have to give up. Especially basketball in Louisville.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, man.
Oh, yeah.
And so Aaron is with me with Chris Mack and with the understanding that I'm passing this off to Aaron, okay? So then, make a long story short, Chris Mack leaves, Kenny Payne comes in, and it's all Aaron's. It's all Aaron's. And, man, those were 2 hard years for Aaron.
I know they were.
But it was great ministry for Aaron. Because, man, people tend to reach out when they're hurting.
Things are down.
And they're losing. They're not winning any games. There's no excitement, it seems like, in the program. And Aaron is a fixture in that program. And so, fast forward, Kenny Payne leaves. Pat Kelsey comes in, and, Pat Kelsey reaches out to me, and I reach out to Pat, and there's part of me that's inside of me like, oh, dude, this he's an FCA guy's dream, and there's part of me, I'd be lying to you if I was like, I'd like to make, and I'm the director, I probably could have made that like, well, Aaron, no, man, it didn't. It's Aaron's, and have a great relationship with Coach Kelsey. I've spoke to that team several times, but it's really because of Aaron's prompting to want me to be part of that. And so my whole point is, when you remove ego out of it, it's not about Chris Morgan. It's not about Aaron Nance. And it's really not about Coach Kelsey. It's really about God. What is God doing? It puts you in the right perspective to be humble.
Yeah.
And when you realize that it's all God, you're just a joy to have any of it.
Yeah.
You don't have to have all of it. So, man, I'd say keep doing what God's doing with this podcast, and He's going to put His hands on it and bless it.
Yeah, I mean, if that's His will, that's what we're here to do. We're going to do what we need to do diligently, and I believe that He will continue to bless it, and I know that He's going to keep blessing what you guys are doing there. And speaking of Aaron Nance, I've heard him preach a few times. Man, he's a great preacher too. And he's kind of always a surprise. Matt don't tell you he's going to have him in until you get to church. And then Matt's in Florida somewhere and Aaron's preaching and I'm like, hey, that's all right. Bring him anytime. I really like his sermons.
I've said this about discipleship before. I look at whether that's him or whether that's Scott Long or whether it's some other guys that I've had a chance to disciple in the faith. That relationship, because you want those guys to be better than you. Mm-hmm. So there's not a jealousy component with that.
Oh yeah.
It's like, no, man, it's like your son. You just go. And when I hear you brag about what kind of preacher he is, he's awesome. Mm-hmm. He's awesome. And there's not a sense like, oh man, you don't think I'm awesome. No, it's like that's good. That's and the best thing we can do is give ourselves away.
Yeah.
And so that's what I love about discipleship.
Yeah, 100%. Brother, I appreciate you coming in. I know it was a little bit of a drive for you to come out here, and I pray that if people are listening to this, which I know again we have a lot of athletes, a lot of business owners listen to this show. I pray that you get something out of that through your faithfulness and trust, and through the hard times, if you stay steady in Christ, that He's got something for you, and not just you, but the people that you influence through what you do. And I hope that the stories that you told and I told, I hope that if anything shines through, that's at the end of the day that Christ has a plan for every single person who is listening to this and for each of our lives too. So anything that I didn't bring up that you want to, I wanted to come on and talk about today? Well, man, I know your time is valuable. I appreciate you coming all the way out here and doing this. So in the future, I'd love to have you on again.
Sure.
If you come on.
Thank you for letting me come on.
Yeah, next time we'll get a little bit more grainy with it. I think we'll dive into the Word a little bit.
Sounds good.
Because I always like people that have some wisdom to come in and break things down for us. So
awesome, you got it.
All right, brother.